Hey guys, what's going on? Bofeity here. It's patch day for Rising Storm 2, patch 1.2 to be exact. It's not a major content patch, but there's a lot going on behind the scenes. Let's take a quick look. So here's the patch notes. As you can see, there's a lot of optimizations going on in this patch, a lot of stuff behind the scenes, like I said. So we're just going to skip through most of this because there's no way to show it. Remastered maps from Rising Storm. You've got Mekong, which is Honto from Rising Storm 1, if you played that. NLF fight their way through the jungle. It's kind of like a swamp. It's kind of like if you've ever seen Shrek. It's a lot like that. There's no knee mortars on this one, so that may be a good thing or a bad thing depending on how you feel about knee mortars. On the CTB, yeah, it was really steamrolly. These maps are a lot faster paced, at least it seemed, so I'm not sure how they're going to translate in the live game. I haven't played them yet. Next up, you got Dong Ha, which is the remastered version of Guadalcanal, a classic night map from Rising Storm 1. In this version, it's not quite night, it's more like dusk. Everything's kind of desaturated. Doesn't look like how it looks in this screenshot, by the way. Again, it seemed pretty steamrolly. This map also had the deployable dishkas. They weren't really useful at all. It's really hard to tell balance on anything on CTB. It's more just kind of like finding bugs and stuff like that, but should be interesting. Any new map is a good map in my opinion, because it definitely needs some variety going on here. Speaking of variety, they added a couple new weapons to the mix. The MP40, it fires a little bit slower than the MAP 49. The MAP 49 I think is 600 RPM. This fires at about 550. So it's really good for, you know, those kind of like little intermediate ranges. Up close, it's going to be a little faster than a grease gun. You can underfold the stock. It's very similar to the Type 56-1. You know, it's just a little canted. You get the benefits of having the folded stock. The MP40 seemed really good to me on the CTB. I liked it a lot. It's a good middle ground. Probably better than the PPSH at more distancey stuff. Anything's better than M1 carbine, so you're going to take this probably 50% of the time, if not more. You also get the Fugas mines. I'm just going to say Fugas. You get 2 of those as well. You don't get 2 toe poppers at all. So if you're playing with the MP40, you got to make your pick. You're either going to use toe poppers or the MP40. It's kind of how it's going to go. So you get 2 of those versus 5 toe poppers, just depending on the map. One's going to be more useful than the others. You get 3 spare mags with the MP40, which is that's good. Next up, you got the RPD 200 round belt variant. The RPD finally gets a belt. You can do away with all that pesky reloading business. So the way this works is similar to the M60. If you select the belt loadout with the M60, which I don't know why you wouldn't, you get a 200 round belt as you spawn. You can be resupplied by someone else, or you can go to a resupply yourself and you get another belt. So it means you have 400 rounds. You know, if you like wall banging and you like shooting down helicopters, 200 round belt is a pretty big deal. Next up, you got the deployable dishka. Yeah, you pick up these little guys at resupply points. Played with it a little bit on the CTB. It seemed fairly useless, though it was Guadalcanal and we were attacking. I think if it was a map where you're defending, which I think most of the Vietnamese maps you are defending, so it'd be a lot more useful there. They can be destroyed by explosives or from the Cobra or the Bushranger, so they're not going to last forever. I think when you die with them, when you die with a dishka in your inventory, it goes back to the resupply point from which you got it. I'm pretty sure. There was usually 2 on the ground. It takes a little bit to set it up, but then once it's set it up, it's set up. You can't move it, so that's kind of an issue there. So it is kind of a niche thing. I don't know how useful it'll really be. Please, Tripwire, if you're watching this, while we're on the subject of dishkas, can you make the static dishkas have the actual anti-air sight on them now? Just throwing it out there. Up next, you got the Fugas mine. I'm gonna say Fugas. It's essentially a trap in which there's a pressure plate on top and there's a barrel buried underneath. It ignites the barrel and flames shoot out. It says toxic gas. I don't know. It looks like fire to me. Basically, the way it works is like a Willy Pete. You have that burn radius around it. It seemed pretty deadly. If you walk close to it, you're toast. I think it's more beneficial on sun maps where you have, you know, more choke points going on, because it'll close off the choke for a period of time. I assume this is what they're going to do with Molotov cocktails too. If you saw, they have the animations and stuff for that. It's on the Trello. So I think it's just it's an area of denial thing. Is it more useful than having 5 toe poppers? I'm not sure. We'll have to see how that plays out. But if you want the MP40, you're going to be stuck with the Fugas mines anyway. So M2, yes, the Medusas here. I assume this is what's going to be on the M113 APCs. I'm not sure. Don't quote me on that. But yeah, it's a 50 cal stationary MG. These aren't like the deployable dishkas. You can't take them anywhere. They're just there. They're pretty sweet. They pack a punch. I used it on Guadalcanal defense and just shot right through hut. You know, the dishka does the same thing. And you can find this on 2 of the remastered maps, the Honto one and the Guadalcanal one, as well as on the final objective of ASAO. So it's not really widespread yet, but I imagine these things are going to be put on custom maps pretty quick. Next up, they they added some other faces for you. For a little more variety, they're adding 3 new heads to the north, 3 new heads to the south, the U.S. Army and Marine Corps. It says the 3 heads represent diverse ethnicity of U.S. forces of the period, 1 being Hispanic, 1 Native American, and 1 Asian. The northern guys they're just Asian, and 1's old, so that's pretty cool too. Gotta include the elderly. Audio occlusion, I didn't really notice this on the CTB, but if it's working well, I can only assume it's a good thing. It'll help with some of those sounds where you can't tell where they are because they're not muffled because they're right below you or above you, and they should be muffled, but they're not. So I assume this is what that fixes, and it's a good thing. So scrolling down through the bug fixes, yeah, we're gonna need another patch after this one to fix the bugs that this one brought. But at any rate, the bugs that they fixed in this one that I included of note: fixed an issue where claymore mines could not be placed on high surfaces such as sandbags. Obviously this is huge because whenever you're in a trench, you can't place a claymore. You have to stand up or get on top of it to do it, and it doesn't work a lot of the times anyway. It'll place it at some weird angle, and claymores are just a mess. Claymores were a mistake. You heard it here first. Fixed an issue where players were able to melee attack each other on helicopter airfields by reloading. Well, tripwire, this applied to more than just the helipads. You could essentially do this out of combat at any point in the game, and you can just go up behind people and just start whacking them out of combat. They fixed that, which is probably for the best. Fixed an issue across a number of our maps, tripwire official maps, where squad tunnels were destroyed when an objective was captured. This is probably one of the biggest bugs that they could fix for NLF PAVN on campaign. If you're attacking a map like Kuchi, an official map, every time you take an objective, it would destroy all the squad tunnels. So this is a huge problem, and I'm glad they fixed it. Yeah, and so after that, there's a lot of map fixes, a lot of just little things on the maps that they've done. That's pretty much the gist of it. That's the whole patch right there. So you get a lot of little things that you're probably not going to notice, and then some things that you will notice. So they also added the campaign end scene cinematics. If you care about that, I'll leave a link to that and you can check those out. All in all, we'll see how this one pans out. This was patch 1.2, and if you like this video, make sure to leave a like and drop a comment below. Discord info is in the description. Of course, if you're not subscribed to the channel, make sure you hit that sub button and ring that bell for me. And as always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.